Hi everyone, Comic Book Reviewer here. This time reviewing on issue 1 of the 2013 series Uncanny X-Men. Now as you know, the 2013 series of Uncanny X-Men is meant to feature, Scott Summers, aka Cyclops, who slowly ends up becoming the new Magneto and slowly ends up taking Magneto's place in basically fighting beside the mutants against racism and that by the humans. And I think having Scott become the new Magneto is an interesting idea because Scott can be stubborn. Scott can kind of be a little hot-headed, and I think it made sense Scott would eventually become the new Magneto, showing how, Magneto was redeemed, Scott would become the very thing he was meant to stop. And the story mainly starts off at S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters, where, Maria is with basically Nick Fury Jr., and we kind of see how she goes in to meet up with the person who wants to talk with her. So, after getting intel from one of the people about that he has been checked and everything else, we see how, Maria talks with this unknown person and mainly shows from an unknown device that after the events with X-Men vs. the Avengers, every mutant has been popping up all over the world. France, Brazil, Italy, China, Dublin, and so forth. And they're everywhere now. And we see how the person points out that Scott Summers has kind of made himself the self-appointed leader of the New Mutant Revolution, and everyone starts worshipping the ground he walks on. And even points out that, Scott's powers are on the fritz, but nobody knows this. But he points out that if they take out his power, but if they have him sort of publicly revealed, they can end up crushing down the revolution much more quicker. And we are introduced to where, in a shopping town area, a unknown person, later known as Fabo, ends up kind of using his newfound mutant powers to make special kind of flying balls fly over the place. And after, being tased and everything else, we see how Scott shows up with his newfound followers, one of which being a young mutant girl who can control time, known as Tempest, magic, as well as Magneto in that. And we do see how Magneto still tries to use his powers, despite them not being what they used to be. And Tempest, putting everyone in a sort of time loop. But we also see how Scott recruits Fabo into his sort of newfound X-Men. And we see how suddenly other Sentinels start showing up. And we kind of see them saying, the new kind? How did they find us? We're being hunted. And of course, we kind of see how Cyclops and the others have to kind of deal with these other kind of Sentinels. And we see how Magneto still tries to use his powers the best he can. But due to his powers also being on the fritz, it's going to be hard to keep it under control. And we do kind of see how Cyclops tries to get his X-Men to kind of improvise and get everything sorted out. And we do see how, Scott mainly uses his powers and, ends up destroying other Sentinels around him. And we kind of see how after this, everything has now been leveled down, the Sentinels now been destroyed. And we do kind of see how Scott Summers and the others make their getaway. But we also see how the unknown person points out that, if they do try to kill him, it wouldn't work. But if they have him revealed that his powers are on the fritz to other people, it could crush the revolution much more quickly. But we also do see how the unknown person points out that Scott is arrogant. He thinks he's making a difference. He thinks he's in the right. And the unknown person is revealed to be Magneto, and even he knows that Scott Summers is taking this way too far, and that, yeah, despite what him and Charles disagreed on, even Magneto knows that Scott Summers has basically become the very thing that he was meant to stop. And this is the story. So I think issue 1 of Uncanny X-Men is an interesting idea, because we always saw how Scott could be a bit of a lone wolf. He was always a bit stubborn, he always kind of acted a bit arrogant, self-righteous, and a little hot-headed. And it makes sense with him slowly becoming the new Magneto, thinking that he's in the right, that he's the good guy, despite the fact that he's now become everything that Xavier didn't want Scott to be. And again, Scott was literally like a son figure to Xavier, and basically Scott has become the new evil to take over the sort of void. So I think this one definitely deserves a thumbs up. Still good, and still readable. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.